Welcome back to the Project Podcast. I'm your host, Connor Lewis. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Jay Robinson, Group Sales Manager at the Boston Celtics. Jay, how are you today, man?
I'm doing great. It's Wednesday here in Boston. It's a beautiful day. It's the off season for me. So, just waiting for the calm before the storm before we get that schedule in a couple weeks. So excited for the
I'm
year ahead.
very excited to get the schedule. I went to a Celtics game. My first game was, I think it was game 6 versus the Knicks, the Luke Cornett game.
Oh, the Luke Cornett
Where
game.
he had like 20 blocks, it felt like. Where it was just like magic. That was my first game. I had great seats. That was a good time to watch a Celtics game. But I really appreciate you being here. We connected because you went to my college that I go to now,
That's right.
Rhode Island College, and
Yep.
it's funny. I get some heat from my friends because they all go to these big Ivy League schools, and they're like, "Oh, Connor, you go to a very small Rhode Island public school," and I'm like, "Look at this connection I made. How many connections do you have that work for the Celtics?" And they can't name one. So it's pretty great. It's great to have you here. I want to talk about your career a little bit. Tell me about your role as a group sales manager, and tell me like what you do on your day-to-day basis.
Yeah, with group sales, I mean, the premise is centered around generating revenue through ticket sales, but it's really a lot of event planning. So it's really every single game by game, we'll have multiple groups that do fan experiences. So it can be a youth basketball team playing at halftime, or you have a group of kids standing in front of the players during the anthem. So it's a lot of running around and moving parts, servicing those clients that we basically do our on sale. We'll go on sale right after Labor Day, and we'll book all these experiences for all 43 home games within about 2 weeks time frame. And then it's just a matter of servicing all those groups throughout the year. So it's a lot more event planning than it seems on the surface as opposed to just selling tickets. But then it's really cool because you can come up with a really unique theme night, whether it's some of the bigger nights I have is like a Special Olympics night, or I'll do a Best Buddies night. And a lot of these nights, it's really about raising awareness for these great nonprofits, but while simultaneously like generating revenue through ticket sales. So it's a lot of fun. It's, you get to see all the best opponents. Last year, I think the big matchup was when Luka had just gotten traded to the Lakers, and we got to see him and LeBron on a Saturday night. And so sometimes you'll get the schedule out and the game doesn't seem like it's going to be as big, and then something like that happens. So I'm excited to see kind of what things get thrown at us this year. But yeah, it's all good stuff.
I just want to say for the record, I am a Dallas fan, so the trade, the people that watch the show consistently, they know I'm a Dallas fan. I had like a 2-episode breakdown where I like went into like full detail about what Luka meant, all that stuff. So I trust me, I remember that game though. I remember that Celtics Lakers game very well. I watched it on TV.
And seeing skinny Luka at the other day shoot that shot sitting down from the sideline, he looks great, man. He looks like he's gonna average 40, 15, and 10 this year. So the league should be scared of Luka this year. He's gonna go crazy.
I don't know if I could probably find a stronger word than scared, but I mean we got Cooper Flag, I guess, so that's good. But I don't know. I was pretty upset still. I'm still upset by
Dallas though. Just touching on Dallas real quick. I think they're with Kyrie out with the ACL, I think they're 1 year away from really, really being it. But then I think Cooper Flag year 2, a healthy Kyrie with AD, next year they're gonna be scary.
Yeah,
not this upcoming season as much, but the next season I think Dallas will be really scary.
I have hope, and I listen. This may sound bad because I'm a Dallas fan, but I hope when Dallas comes to Boston, the tickets are cheap. If we're bad enough,
it won't be that bad this year. I think there'll be a middle tier. I mean, Dallas is still a good brand, so I think that'd be like a middle tier demand. Maybe not a marquee one like LA or Golden State, but it'll be right there. Yeah.
I mean, let's just hope for the best because I've been trying to go to a Dallas game, and I think was the Luka trade right before they played in Boston? Do I have that right, or was it after?
Yeah, it was because it was before the deadline, and we played on March 8th, which was a Saturday night. So it was like a month build up before the maybe 2 or 3 weeks beforehand.
Yeah, because I was planning on going, and I was going to see, and it was literally the night before I was planning on buying the tickets. The trade happens, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, if you'd have got them before that, it would have been a pretty good deal. But yeah, after that trade went down Saturday night, ABC game. Yeah, there was no way. I think that was definitely our most expensive ticket last year for sure. Regular season.
I believe you. I do. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about those events because I'm so interested on that. How does that work? Do these companies and nonprofits reach out to you guys? Do you reach out to them, or is it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both for sure. I've been with the team for over 10 years now, so it's a lot of these clients are like really good relationships I've built. So I've had them for so long that we've been able to grow some of these nights. But within my role or within our team, if we can think of a new night, then we'll reach out. Like a couple years ago, I wanted to do like a cancer awareness night because I realized we don't have a specific night for that, and so I reached out to like this group, Christopher Havens. They actually help with kids who are dealing with like chemo, and they'll provide housing and relief for the families. So I was like, that's a really cool thing that you guys do. So I reached out to them. They had already had a connection with Tatum. So
Mhm.
I was able to just kind of create that night, and then it kind of marketing took hold of it. And now it's kind of got its own thing that it's not so much organized by me anymore. But anytime like I have a cool idea, it's cool to see it can start with me and then kind of grow around the organization into its own night. So it's pretty cool.
I think it's super cool. I do. I really think
Yeah,
it's cool. Any type of thing like that. To be honest, I interned at URI for a little bit, University of Rhode Island,
I saw that.
and
I saw
I
that.
got to saw so many great events similar to that at like basketball games and stuff where you have like the
Mhm.
little kids like during halftime there'd be like a little youth basketball game like 10 minutes and
Yep.
they'd be on the
Yep.
court. I just think stuff like that where you give people a special opportunity to be a part of something bigger than themselves. It's just a
Yep.
great thing. I'm really curious to
Absolutely.
know about your on a game day, a home game day. When are you arriving to the stadium? When are you leaving? Just like kind of, I'm very interested in that schedule because I don't. It's hard to know because I know it's not a 9 to 5 like a usual 9 to 5.
Mhm.
I'm curious to know how that works.
Yeah, it's unique. It's definitely unique because you can bank on working Christmas or you can work holidays. You're going to work some late nights. So typically, our office schedule, just in general, is 8:30 to 5:30. So on game nights, it's just a longer day because most games are at 7:30. So typically, you're going to get in around that 8:30 9 a.m. time frame, and then you're just there all day. And maybe you'll break the day up by going to the gym, getting a little workout in, eating lunch. But I feel like game days go so quick because the day is just kind of broken up a little bit. But I think it's also I just been in the industry so long, I'm kind of used to it. But yeah, you can kind of bank on a game day being anywhere from like 12 to 14-hour workday. So it's a long day.
Yeah, I could imagine. I again when I interned at URI and there would be a game days where my supervisor would be there. He'd get there like around the same time I did, which is like 9 8:30, and then
Hmm.
we'd both leave if it was a basketball game that was at night.
Yeah,
However, like what 9 p.m. So that's a strong 12-hour day.
yeah,
So I'm
easy.
curious to see like that comparison and how that goes. But before you didn't always work for the Celtics. You worked for Bank of America for a little bit. I saw it. I did a little bit of research on your LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah.
How did Bank of America and your time there translate to the Celtics, and how did it help you get your job working for the Celtics?
It actually helped a lot because when I first started off, I was in that inside sales program, which we just recently brought that back a few seasons ago. And essentially, this is a program if you're just a recent graduate where the Celtics are going to give you an opportunity to. It's part time. I think it started at like 30 hours a week, and I think it started on June 1st, and then it coincided with the NBA All Star. So you basically have 8 month trial run to see if they're going to hire you for a full time position. But within that role, when I started, we were really bad that year too. I think we had just gotten rid of KG, Pierce, and Ray Allen, so it was like a full rebuild. We hadn't had Tatum, we hadn't drafted Jalen yet, so I think we won 27 games that year. And the nature of that program was just make 100+ cold calls a day, send out as many emails. It was all outbound. It was basically no inbound that year.
Mm.
And I think my time at Bank of America, just doing customer service, that was just me getting yelled at on the phones all day about money. So I just feel like me doing that for 3 years, people just cussing me out, being pissed about whatever with Bank of America. And it's like, they're like, so some people in the inside the Hill program, they're like 100 calls a day. That's intimidating. I was like, not for me, because I've literally been getting yelled at for years, making 100+ calls, 8 hours a day, doing customer service. So I think the phone fatigue some people had, it didn't really set for me because of that time at Bank of America. So it was very, very
So
transferable in that sense.
so you're working part time for the Celtics. Are you commuting from wherever you were staying? Are you living in Boston? I'm curious to know like how that transition works because you obviously went to Rhode Island College. That's like an hour without
Hmm.
traffic. When
Yeah,
on a
no,
normal day, there's probably a lot more. It's a little longer.
yeah, no, that takes me back. That's a great question. Yeah, because I didn't know if they were going to hire me, so I wasn't going to move to Boston. I was still living in Providence at the time, so I wasn't going to make the leap to Boston without having some, job security first. So for most of the time, I would take the train just because I got in a good routine of doing that. No traffic. I can kind of sleep on the train a little bit. And, I think I would be catching like the 5 something train just to make sure I got to Boston on time because you have to catch the South Station and then still get to North Station, where TD Garden is at. So I would normally take the train. It was just made for like a longer commuting life. It was definitely a little depressing, but ultimately I was like, I really want to work in Boston. I want to get a job with the Celtics. So I had to just kind of make that grind initially. But I would take the train mostly, which wasn't awful.
Because that's what I was thinking about is if I were to get an internship there, because obviously Boston has so many different great opportunities for college students that are sports management majors. I was just thinking to myself about that and what the easiest way to do that would be. So I figured you'd say the commuter, but I didn't know where that would go. So you've worked with the Celtics for over a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, can you believe that? Like, does it even feel like
No,
that longer?
it doesn't feel like that long at all. Just I think with the nature being in sports, every team is so different. So like the narrative going into last year, we're the defending champs. Are we going to run it back? It's like you're selling a whole different product. So every year it's refreshing in the sense that you're just not selling the same team.
Mm,
Like this year, it's kind of like who's going to be the guys that have a chance to have a bigger role. Pritchard, Derek White, those guys that Jaylen Brown can finally have that breakout season. So it's just a different product every year that you're selling. So that makes it a little bit more of a unique thing. And then I feel like life before COVID working for the Celtics and life after COVID was just two different companies because pre-COVID, it was every day, 5 days a week, you're in office. We had no setup to do hybrid. And then after COVID, it became more of a couple of days remote, a couple of days in office. So it was like I worked for two different companies just with the way the schedule kind of broke off post COVID life. So it's been, but yeah, I mean, a decade plus, but it does feel like pre-COVID and post-COVID were kind of two different work lives for me.
I think that leads me into like my next question. I actually had this written about during that post-COVID season, the 2020-2021 season. You did a little bit of a different role. You did like some contact tracing.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like? Because you're working like really close with the team. I feel
Mm-hmm.
if I had to guess, what is that like compared to what you're usually doing? I'm really
Yeah.
curious to know. I know that wasn't that long, but
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's amazing memories. I feel like all the players were miserable that year because we're literally getting, I think we had to get swabbed in our nose like 4 or 5 times a day. They're constantly testing us. And then for me, I was doing the contact tracing. So a lot of it, I was kind of like the boogeyman to the players because they had to have these little devices on them at all time. And like, I'm the one that anytime they saw me, they would like be thinking, do I have my device? And it just became like, kind of like this running joke. Anytime they saw me, they were like, do I have, and half the time they'd lose it. I think Taco Fall lost like 11 of these devices I gave him. It got to the point where like I'm yelling at this 8 foot man, like, man, if you lose one more of these devices, like, I don't know what's going to happen. But for me, it was amazing because it's like I get an opportunity once we started traveling up, like I'm getting to watch these games courtside in a completely empty arena. So I can really hear everything that you don't realize how much these guys are talking
yeah.
until you like hear them in an empty arena. I'm staying at the Four Seasons. I'm traveling. I'm in film, just listening to coach. That was Brad Stevens last year coaching. So it was a unique vantage point. I felt like I was in the NBA for real. Like everyone else around me seemed like they hated that season in particular. Like I know Kemba Walker and Jeff Teague,
Mm.
those guys were kind of over just the whole COVID life, but I was in heaven. I was like, man, I get to travel the country just watching these guys play in empty arenas. It got no better for me, but for them, it was probably one of the tougher seasons they had for sure.
Do they talk more trash than you would think they do on the court, or
It's nonstop. You
really?
think that you're getting a lot of what they're saying, but without us actually being able to hear them on the microphone, it's nonstop. I mean, it's just so much communication that goes into being like on that level. Switch, calling out screens, yelling at each other, and you hear a lot more cussing and a lot more things that you just didn't expect
Really?
to
I would
hear.
have never thought that.
It's a lot of that. Like even your favorite play, even Steph is like talking a lot more than you think. So it's interesting to hear it that close up for sure.
Yeah, it's such a weird season because obviously the bubble preceded that and that was
Mm-hmm.
a whole different thing on its own. And I always think about that time period because it was so I hope we never have to deal with anything like that ever again. And
Right.
before that there was nothing like that. I'm curious to know what you were thinking when the NBA went to the bubble season and what were you thinking kind of working for the Celtics but kind of just watching that almost as an outsider because I don't assume you were traveling with them. So I'm curious to know what you thought about that at the time.
In the moment, I was like, "Well, this is different." I was expecting them to maybe cancel the season, so I was happy that we got something back out there. And then from there, it was just like okay, I thought we actually had a really good chance the bubble year to like come out of that and win a chip. So I'm just thinking, okay, this is a chance for us to get this ring. And then yeah, I mean, once it got underway, um, we started doing like the virtual fans and like trying to figure out ways that we can engage people from the business side without just kind of just watching it. So I mean, it was unique and yeah, I mean, it stinks. I think we lost to Miami that year, right? So I
Yep.
was just disappointed that we didn't take advantage of being a young team. But yeah, it was unique, and I was just hoping that after it all happened and the Lakers won, I was just like, that was worst case scenario. LeBron gets to get a bubble ring. So then you start like kind of I don't want to say I want to like not give them credit, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
funny because if we won it that year, I wish someone would say it didn't count as much. But because the Lakers won it, I was like, that doesn't count. That doesn't count as much. So it
That's what
was
I
unique.
was gonna ask if you thought
Yeah.
that. If you were like, oh, it's a bubble ring, doesn't count.
I mean, there's something to be saying for playing in a hostile environment in the playoffs. That matters. I don't think Anthony Davis would have been as much of a monster getting three,
Mhm.
4 months off because he's typically injury prone. So there's a
I
lot
know
of
it.
little things that I think LeBron would have been himself regardless, and I think Rondo. I think that team probably would have won it regardless. So I don't want to fully. They were big. They had Dwight and JaVale, so they were a big team. But I just don't think Anthony Davis. If you look at his stats, he was putting up crazy stats and I don't think he would have done that if he didn't get 3 months off and he didn't have to deal with travel and all that. So,
Well, he went head
a
up with
ring's a ring.
Jokic in the Denver series, and he was just
Right.
going Adam. I've never seen Davis play like that, like
That's what
against
I
a guy like
mean.
Jokic. So that's I think you have a good point, and I still in the moment I was probably 14 or 15, which is crazy
Yeah,
to think
yeah,
about, like
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
but I think I was 14, and so all
yeah,
my friends obviously we talked basketball. That was like
yeah,
that
yeah,
was all we cared about. We didn't. This is before we really cared about like girls. We really
yeah,
cared about
yeah,
basketball. That was
yeah,
really
yeah.
it. So
Right, right.
we were just talking about are the Lakers and Celtics really gonna go face off in the finals? That's what we thought. Like as kids, we're
Yeah,
all like we
yeah,
kind of wanted it a little bit. I was still a Dallas fan, so once Dallas was out by the Clippers, I was like, I don't
yeah,
care who
yeah.
wins. It doesn't matter. I don't care who wins. And then we didn't get the Clippers Lakers, which everyone thought was going to happen, including
Right.
myself. And then we didn't get Clipper or Lakers Celtics. So I don't listen. I'm not blaming you, but you guys disappointed us a little bit. The ratings would have been a little better, I think, if we were
I
watching
would have
Lakers
loved. I
Celtics.
would have loved. I don't know if we would have beat that team, that Lakers team, but I would have loved an opportunity. And I was hoping once Luca went there this year, I was like, you know what, the stars might be aligning for Lakers Celtics, and then they lost to Minnesota early, and then
Yeah,
obviously we lost to the Knicks. But it's just so crazy that your mindset in February, March, what you think are good predictions and accurate, and then the finals are OKC, Indiana. It's just you just never know. You just don't know.
I
So
had
it,
an
yeah.
ABC6 reporter talking about the finals, and nobody's and he even did not. He covers NBA every time there's a game on ABC, and he was like, I never saw a Pacers in the finals thing coming,
No, no.
and it's I don't know. Obviously the Thunder team was incredible. I watched a lot of their games. They were so talented, especially their defense. But I feel like we're gonna be talking about Indiana forever. Like it's just one of those teams where it's like who like they just come out of nowhere and they beat these teams. And Halliburton has his like the TikTok people are like his devil magic quote unquote. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
that
yeah,
where and it's just like I don't know if the Pacers will ever get back there. It's just such a the league is so crazy now. It's like
yeah,
I don't know
yeah. Especially with
how that would
Halliburton
go.
going down. And I'm from Indianapolis, even though I
Yeah.
never really was a Pacers fan growing up because I was still caught up in a little bit of the MJ era. So I was despised Reggie and Jalen trying to compete with MJ during the late 90s. But I was rooting for the Pacers hard just for my home city. They try to get one. And then it was just the ultimate, you'll never know that game seven. If Halliburton hit, what, 2, 3 threes to come out,
Yeah.
he had 9 quick points. So you just never, it feels like the Pacers were going to win that one. And they even were up by a point at halftime without Halliburton. So, but
I
you'll
remember.
never know. In OKC, you can't take it away from 68 wins. They won 80 plus games. They deserve to be the champion, but man, it feels like if Halliburton doesn't go down, that the Pacers might actually won that, which would have been the craziest upset I think ever if they would
I
have
think so.
actually pulled it off. But yeah,
I so you've been working for the Celtics for a while. You've seen basketball change so much. I'm
hmm
sure you think about it all the time. Where do you think basketball's going in the next decade compared to where it was like 10 years ago? Because 10 years ago, it's a very different league. That it's only 2015, but it still feels like a totally different league. Where do you think basketball's going? Just I don't know. Just shooting the shit, I guess.
I think the average height of the players is just going to keep. I think eventually. I think Kevin Durant was talking about on a podcast with Steve Nash, and LeBron, how if you're like 6'2", 6'3", it's kind of like it's just not like, with the exceptions of like the Jalen Brunsons of the world or maybe the Stephs, like Kyrie's. For the most part, I just think the league's going to get bigger and bigger. It's just, I think the skill is just, it's so international now. I don't know if we'll keep winning gold medals in the Olympics. So it's just the international game has just has caught up to us with the Euro League and everything like that. Adam Silver clearly is a commissioner who values more of the parity. He doesn't. I mean, we haven't had a repeat champion since KD and Steph. So I just think the league is going to continue to have like these middle market teams that can compete, because even teams like us, we got right under the apron this year. There's just no point of paying that apron, even if you have the money, because of you get penalized with draft picks and things like that. So I think Adam Silver just wants those middle market teams like OKC and Indiana to still have a chance. So I think the dynasties are kind of a thing of the past in the NBA. You're not going to see a Michael Jordan 6 rings or a Kobe Steph three-peat or a Kobe Shaq three-peat. So I mean, and then again, you never know. I think 10 years is too far out to know what it'll look like. But the next 5 years, I think it's still going to be teams just figuring out ways to stay under the apron, or if you are in the apron, that it's such a short window compared to what windows used to be like for the Spurs and the Lakers back in the day.
So when the Porzingis and Drew Holiday trades were going down, and we talked about this, I talked about the second apron on this a little bit. You're probably more well versed than me. Can you explain to the people what exactly the second apron is? Because I got a lot of questions about it, but I feel like I'm not, in the know enough to really explain it. So I think I should leave it to the expert.
Yeah, I mean, the second apron is fine if you know you're actively competing for a championship. So we had no problem paying the second apron, even if Tatum doesn't get hurt and we're looking at our roster this year, we might just say, you know what, it's worth it to pay. Because basically, if we didn't get under the second apron, I think we're going to get penalized something like $400 or $500 million just in penalties. And then on top of that, it takes away your ability to swap picks with certain teams during the draft. So it penalizes you not just from a money standpoint, but just from what you can do during the draft. So I think for us this year, we're just looking at it like Tatum's out. Our ceiling is probably not championship this year. So why are we paying to be in the second apron? Whereas if Tatum doesn't get hurt, maybe we feel like it's worth it to do it. Like you look at a team like Cleveland, they're running it back next year and they're in the second apron because they fully expect to compete for a championship. So it makes sense for them. For us, if without Tatum, it just made no sense. Now going into not next year, but the season after when Tatum's back, we could just go. You can go right back in that second apron if you feel like it's worth competing in. So I feel like the second apron, it's a window where you feel like you're going to have a chance to win a championship that year. Otherwise, it's kind of silly to be paying that if you're not competing for that championship.
Honestly, that clears it up a little bit for me. I mean, I kind of understood like the point of it and what would happen, but I think it's good to hear it from someone who's actually in the know. Now, I get this question a lot because I talk to so many people working in sports. I talk to coaches, I talk to administrators, all that. For people that are like me who want to work in sports, who are sports management majors, can you share some advice to help them stand out, like on their resume or just in the real world, to help them stand out with those people that are interviewing them, I guess, or what have you?
Yeah, I would say the best thing you can do, and it's like what you've kind of done, is just get an internship, even if it's for a collegiate level. Anything that gets you like when I'm going through resumes for like when I'm hiring interns, it's always the ones that stand out to me are either former athletes, because that's transferable to sales, or people who have some sort of sports experience as an intern already. I think it's just it's an easier way of like having that conversation and stand out. Whereas like it's fine if like you have experience working at like your local ice cream place or just like something where you've done something, but it's just definitely an easier way to get in if you have some sort of sports experience. And it doesn't matter if it's not in the NBA or the NFL or the NHL. If it's on a collegiate level, even in high school, just having some sort of sports experience is going to help you stand out, or just being a former athlete. I think that helps as well. And then I think LinkedIn is always going to be like, you and I connected on LinkedIn, and it's just a means of like, just I think a lot of times I think the problem is when students reach out, it's a very generic, hey, I want to work in sports, and it kind of feels like the same message you get all the time. So it's the ones who either like can tailor that LinkedIn message to you a little bit, like they've done their homework on you, or the ones who are kind of just like, all right, you didn't hit me back once, I'm gonna follow up again, I'm gonna keep following up, and are just a little bit more pesky about it. I feel like that's the only, if you don't know anybody, how else are you gonna do it? You kind of gotta harass people in the industry to, maybe harass isn't the right word, but
Yeah,
you
I
gotta
wouldn't
you
say
gotta be,
harass.
you know what I mean? But it's just gotta be a little bit more authentic with the messaging. Otherwise, it just, we get a million of those messages. So like, if you hit me up and you hit me up more than once, it's more likely I'll respond back. And if you hit me up with a little bit more of a genuine message, I think it's better as well.
Well, that was my whole thing so I connected with you a couple months ago, and because I saw you graduated from my college, and so I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of sitting on the idea of asking you to be on my podcast for a while. I thought I should try to build it up a little bit,
Yeah.
and eventually I did hit you up, and you answered. I was like, oh wow, this is pretty awesome. So it. I think people are just afraid, including me, obviously. Like I'm not trying to downplay people, but take that risk and take that chance on trying to connect with somebody or try to connect with somebody in that industry, I guess. And
Yeah.
I get that question a lot from people because they see me doing interviews like this where I'm interviewing Division I coaches and stuff like that, and they're like, "How do you even make these connections?" Like, you just need to reach out and be genuine. And when I in at Rhode Island College, we had an intro to sports management class, and we had guest speakers from Division I colleges, from Under Armour, from what have you, and that's how I made my connection with the URI athletic director, and that's how I got my first internship at
Mm,
URI. It's stuff
gotcha.
like that. It's stuff where you just have to
Yeah.
take advantage of whatever you have, and
Exactly.
that's how I got to where I am today. I wouldn't be here right now without that because I started doing podcasting at URI,
Mm-hmm.
and it led me to doing stuff like this. And I don't know. I don't know where I was really going with that, but I guess that's kind of my point. And I want to
Yeah.
ask you a little bit about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No,
And I
please.
was gonna say it was smart, like you said, you kind of like you kind of built it up before you reached out to me. I think one of the good tricks to do too when you're networking is kind of engage with the person's content, like their content that they posted. Like maybe go like a few of their older posts, comment on something like, "Hey, this is really cool." Make the connection, and then eventually, when you do reach out for the ask, like you kind of are like already remembered because I was like, "Oh, I remember you like commented on a post or you like something." It's just a good way to kind of build that rapport without having to like directly make the ask right away.
No, that makes sense. I think that's a really good piece of advice. I would have never thought of doing something like that. So I'm definitely going to
Mm-hmm.
take advantage of that. But when you think about your mentors when you were like my age or maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, what was the best piece of advice you received as far as your career goes?
Yeah, I would feel like in inside sales when I first started that program, we had our inside sales manager. Her name was Jill Payne. She was with the Celtics for a long, long time, and it wasn't even necessarily any specific advice that she gave me. I just saw the way she moved, like her discipline every day. Like she was there every day, early and on time. You can never tell if she had a bad day. She always had a smile on her face. So for me, I like learned through her, like no matter what, when you're coming into a professional environment, especially like sales where it's so like black and white where you stand with your numbers, control the things you can control. So if I can come in and maybe I'm not going to get a sale today, but I can be super like enthusiastic, I can smile a lot. And I think one thing I learned too early on, even I learned this from Dr. Min at Rhode Island College, is like the value of asking questions is so huge when you're going into like these corporate boardroom meetings. If you're just always quiet and you don't say anything, it kind of, you kind of can kind of get lost in it. So I feel like for me early on, my thing was always ask a question. If I'm ever in a meeting, I don't care who it's with, what it's about, I'm gonna always make my voice be heard, even if this is like just a kind of a silly question. Just the value of doing that, I think it goes a long way just to have your voice be heard. So that was kind of what she taught me, and what Dr. Min taught me is to come in, smile. I think smiling is like an underrated thing. Like there's certain interns or like people who start here, they don't. I'll notice like they just seem a little down. And it's like you gotta like pick even the way you walk. If you're walking slow, like you don't have anywhere to be, all those little tricks matter to your reputation. So yeah, I think best advice is to just show up every day with enthusiasm, and to not be afraid to let your voice be heard.
Well, I really appreciate the words that you're sharing, all that advice, and I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to let you go, but I have one more
Yeah,
question for you. I want to do a blind ranking. Are you aware of this? Is that okay if we do this right now?
let's do it. I'm not familiar with it, but I'm down.
So I'm going to give you 5 former Celtics. Actually,
Okay.
one's current, and so
Okay.
you have to rank them without knowing which one comes next. So you cannot move them around. You have to rank
Okay.
them 1 through 5.
Am I ranking them on just basketball or impact or however I feel?
However you think they
Okay.
should be
Okay.
ranked. So there are
Okay.
5 really great players. I'm not
Okay.
gonna like throw a curveball at you. I'm not gonna say like I can't even think of like a terrible player right now. I don't want to
Okay.
offend Celtics
Okay.
fans, but so
Okay.
all right. So is this cool if we do this right now?
Yeah,
I
let's do
haven't
it.
done anything like this yet, so
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
trying a
down.
new
I'm
thing
down.
out. Okay,
Okay.
Larry Bird.
I mean, he can't be any lower than 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go 2 for Bird.
Okay, Jason Tatum.
Tatum, he's got 1 championship. I still want him to get a finals. I'll go 4 for Tatum just because I feel like he'll eventually be top 1 or 2, but right now 4 for it just because he's got some more work to prove. 4 for Tatum.
Isaiah Thomas. Celtics
Ooh, the
Isaiah,
legend.
obviously.
The
Mm,
legend.
I
Oh
remember
man,
him
I
well.
love IT. Those IT days are probably some of my favorite days to go to games, just because like he took the whole. I'm gonna go 5 for IT. I'm gonna go 5.
Paul Pierce.
Woo. I'm gonna have to go. I mean, I'll go 3 for Pierce. I'll go 3 for Pierce.
And then your number 1 is Bill Russell. I think that's a pretty damn good ranking.
I
I
think
think you
that's
did a
pretty
great
good. I
job.
knew Russell. If it would have messed me up if you didn't include Russell, because then I would have probably put Bird at 1. But Russell, Bird, Pierce, Tatum, and I think that's might be how I would have ranked them anyways
That's a
if I was
great
able to
ranking.
do it.
I think you
I
have
think
like a
that's
spider
solid.
sense to you.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
Well,
that's a solid list.
that's great. Jay, I really
Yeah,
appreciate you being here. I
of
appreciate you
course,
taking the time and playing that little game with me too. I haven't tried that
of
yet.
course.
So I'm trying to make it a little more fun, a little more
Yeah, yeah,
dynamic instead of just doing the standard questions because people get questions all the time. They're tired of hearing the same old nonsense. But
yeah.
to all the listeners, all the watchers at home, thank you so much for being here. I've been your host, Connor Lewis, signing off.